Have you ever been caught in a relationship pattern that just felt baffling and, I mean, incredibly painful?
Mhm.
It often starts with something small, a little miscommunication, maybe?
And then there's distance.
Exactly. And that distance turns into silence, and then before you know it, that silence just hardens into resentment, into total burnout.
And you're left feeling completely drained.
You're running on empty while your partner seems, I don't know, completely checked out. It's exhausting, and it makes you feel like you've just failed.
Failed at being an adult, yeah.
Okay, so let's unpack this because the research we've been digging into gives us a really profound but surprisingly simple way to understand this whole cycle.
Right.
The mission for this deep dive is to get past the blame game, past calling someone critical or cold, and to really get what's happening at the nervous system level.
It's about biology, not just personality.
Yes. What happens when two people just stop feeling safe together and you get this dynamic where one person moves toward connection
The emotional carrier.
while the other one just pulls back for protection?
And the first thing, I think, the most crucial thing, is to reframe it. We are so quick to slap these labels on she's too demanding or he's too passive.
The character flaws.
Exactly. But the sources are, well, they're unanimous on this. This isn't a character flaw. It's a biological mechanism. It's a survival drive.
Reimelder.
Primal, one person reaches out to try and fix the break, and the other pulls back to try and find their own internal balance again.
Now, the research does show this often, follows gendered lines, especially in heterosexual relationships.
It does, and that's due to conditioning, but we have to be careful not to get stuck there.
Why is that?
Because if we focus too much on gender, we miss the core truth. This pattern is universal. You see it in queer couples, in friendships,
Family.
family units, absolutely. Anywhere one person becomes that emotional carrier and the other one retreats when things get too intense. The roles can even shift day to day, but the mechanism,
It's always the same.
it's always mobilization versus self-protection.
I think that's such an important distinction. We're talking about chemistry, really, and conditioning and how they intersect. So let's define them. Let's give them names, these two sides. The mobilizer and the withdrawer.
Just having the names helps.
It does. It's
Yeah.
the first step to seeing it without blame. So, okay, on one side, you've got the mobilizer.
Mm-hmm.
This is the partner who is actively, monitoring the health of the relationship. They're the one who notices that shift in tone at the dinner table.
They're the tracker.
The tracker, yes. They initiate the repair. They remember the history. They are trying to steady the ship by staying engaged, sometimes maybe a little too aggressively.
Because for them, connection equals safety.
Right. Their nervous system is screaming, get closer to the threat to neutralize it.
Then you have the withdrawer,
Who does the exact opposite?
the complete opposite.
Ugh.
The temperature goes up, they pull back, they go quiet, numb, maybe physically leave the room.
But they're also trying to steady things.
Yes, but they're trying to steady themselves internally. For their system, that emotional intensity, especially conflict, feels, well, it feels dangerous.
So they need distance to feel safe, to breathe.
Autonomy is their path to self-preservation.
And that is just the brutal irony of it all, isn't it?
It is. Both people are trying to survive the exact same moment, the same feeling of discomfort, but they're literally running in opposite directions to do it.
One reaches for closeness to feel safe, the other pulls away for self-protection.
And until you get that, it's just two survival instincts clashing. All you see is your partner actively, sabotaging everything.
Okay, so this is where the cost becomes just astronomical, and particularly for the mobilizer.
Mm-hmm.
When people talk about relationship burnout, the research is pretty clear. They're talking about the relentless, unseen work of carrying the emotional field.
That's a phrase for it.
It sounds a bit abstract, but what does that actually mean? What are the specific actions?
It's the constant mental and emotional load. It's, always being aware of the relationship itself, almost like it's a third person in the room.
You're tracking its health.
You're tracking the temperature. You notice that subtle mood shift after a bad day at work. You're the one starting every single "we need to talk" conversation because if you don't,
The distance will just grow.
it will grow.
Yeah.
And it means staying emotionally open even when you are just depleted. And maybe most importantly, it means you're the one holding that question all the time. Are we okay?
Oh, that question. Are we okay?
You hold it so the other person doesn't have to.
And that's where the body starts to protest. I mean, the sources we looked at, the details on the internal cost. They are so revealing. When you carry that weight by yourself, that natural tenderness you once had,
It changes.
it turns into vigilance.
Vigilance, that's the word. You start scanning for signs of danger, not signs of love. And that's how generosity sours into expectation.
What do you mean by that?
Well, you used to give freely just because you cared. But now
Yeah.
you're giving because you expect to be seen, to be met. You need it to be balanced out.
And if it's not acknowledged?
That care turns into what some researchers call an unwanted accounting.
The unwanted accounting, that is such a powerful phrase.
It's that mental ledger.
Yeah, the one you keep, even though you hate yourself for keeping it. It's that voice in your head that goes, I did this, I remembered that, I supported you through your thing, and you can't even look up from your phone?
Exactly. And the mobilizer uses that ledger as evidence when the fight finally happens.
And that evidence, that's what becomes resentment.
That's it. Resentment is what happens when your effort goes unseen for way too long. It's the bitter fruit of pouring yourself out and getting nothing back.
But we have to pause here. We have to apply that same lens, that same compassion to the withdrawer.
We do. Because, as we said, it's rarely about indifference. It's about being overwhelmed.
So what makes that emotional intensity so dangerous for them? It's not a physical threat. The sources point to something deeper, like a fear of failure.
Precisely. For the withdrawer, the danger is often the fear of disappointing their partner.
Or being seen as incompetent.
Yes, of being revealed as fundamentally unable to handle it all. Or just the simple fear of not knowing how to fix it. If the thought is, I have no idea how to make this better, and I'm probably going to make it worse.
Then shutting down feels like the safest option.
It's the quickest way to neutralize that pressure. Pull back, shut down, wait for the storm to pass. It's a protective move. It's not meant to be a punishment.
So if we can get that both sides are just trying to survive, we land right in the middle of this huge philosophical challenge of modern love. And this is where Esther Perel's work is so brilliant. She talks about this nearly impossible tension we put on one person, on one relationship. What are those two desires?
Well, we're basically asking our partners to be two fundamentally different things at the same time.
Which are
On the one hand, we need them to be our secure attachment figure, our anchor, the source of stability, predictability, safety.
the safe harbor.
The safe harbor. But
Yeah.
at the exact same time, we demand they be the source of aliveness, of desire, the mystery, the intensity, the novelty.
So we want safety and predictability, but also surprise and vitality.
We want stability and intensity, all in one person.
It's the ultimate paradox. We want the person who helps us pay the mortgage to also be the one who sets our world on fire.
And holding that kind of tension, that requires immense emotional regulation, flexibility, skills that, frankly, our culture doesn't really teach us.
So without those skills, what happens?
The nervous system just can't handle the complexity. It short circuits, it collapses that beautiful nuanced tension into a simple binary threat.
And it's either mobilize or withdraw.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I must either get closer for safety or I must pull away from my own autonomy.
Yeah.
And that whole middle ground, that space for play and mystery, it just vanishes.
This is why it's so powerful to look beyond just modern psychology. The research connects this directly to some really ancient wisdom, specifically the Buddhist concept of love as non-abandonment.
From Thich Nhat Hanh, yeah.
What is non-abandonment exactly?
It's a radical idea.
Yeah.
It's a practice of not turning away. Not from suffering, not from fear, not from discomfort, whether it's your partner's or your own. It's about presence.
So how do you translate that into a modern relationship?
It means staying regulated enough to remain emotionally available, even when every instinct is telling you to defend yourself or to run away.
That sounds incredibly hard.
It's very hard work. It means when the mobilizer feels that panic of distance and wants to escalate, they learn to pause instead. And when the withdrawer feels overwhelmed and wants to just, hang up the phone, they learn to stay on the line and say,
I need a minute.
I need 10 minutes to breathe, but I promise I'm coming back to this. I'm not leaving you. That capacity to stay with the discomfort, that's what builds real emotional safety. Not being perfect, but being present.
And when that commitment to stay is lost, that's when the silence gets heavier. So if we can't master that non-abandonment, what happens next? I'm thinking of John Gottman's research here. What's the thing that predicts the end of a relationship more than, just loud arguments?
It's not conflict. It's contempt.
Contempt.
Contempt is the slow poison. And it grows when those small daily reaches for connection, Gottman calls them bids, when they repeatedly go unnoticed.
Or unanswered.
What's an example of a bid?
It can be so small, like, wow, I had a really tough day at work. Can I tell you about it? If that's met with attention, that's a moment of repair.
But if it's met with a sigh?
An eye roll. Or just
Yeah.
your partner not looking up from their screen. Your body learns from that. That non-response tells the mobilizer's nervous system, plain and simple, it is not safe to reach for you. My effort will be ignored.
And when enough of those small bids get missed, the body just missed. It learns that reaching out is painful. So the tenderness hardens into a shell. And that shell eventually becomes contempt. It's when you find yourself rolling your eyes before your partner has even finished their sentence.
Because you just know what they're going to say and you're already frustrated.
You're already there.
And this is exactly when the labels fly. You're so cold, you're checked out, you're so clingy.
Right.
But underneath all those labels is just profound fatigue and a problem of awareness. One person is completely exhausted from carrying it all alone.
And the other person genuinely has no idea how heavy that load has become. Not until the whole thing collapses, the withdrawer doesn't know what they haven't been doing.
It's not a problem of bad intentions then, it's a problem of information flow.
And capacity. Which is why we have to reframe resentment. It's not the enemy.
It's a message.
It is a vital, critical message. If you can learn to listen to it, instead of letting it fester, resentment just says, hey, something here matters. My effort needs to be seen. This weight, it wants to be shared.
It's an invitation to change the dynamic.
Not a termination notice.
So, shifting that dynamic. It means both partners have to learn these skills we were never taught. It doesn't mean you stop having conflict.
Not at all. It just means you stop abandoning each other inside the conflict.
So for the mobilizer, creating safety means learning to pause, to take a step back instead of instantly escalating. And for the withdrawer,
It means learning how to listen without building a defense in your head. And it means making that commitment to come back, to not just disappear.
and for both, it's about learning how to repair proactively, not just waiting for the awkwardness to fade away.
That shared commitment, that practice of non-abandonment, that's what shifts the weight. You start to trust that the relationship itself can hold the tension.
So if you're listening and you recognize yourself in this, if you're the one mobilizing until you're just depleted, or you're the one shutting down, the biggest takeaway here is this. It doesn't mean you failed at love.
Not at all.
It just means you've been trying to solve a two-person problem with the tools of one person. Maybe you've just been trying alone for far too long.
And that realization, that's the real starting point. Change doesn't begin with some huge dramatic gesture.
Or a big blame session.
No. It begins with just noticing.
Yeah.
And then gently telling the truth about what you're holding. The most loving thing you can do is to stop carrying all that weight in silence and to start trusting that it was never, ever meant to be held alone.
And that very moment, the moment you let yourself even imagine a different way, a way where that emotional weight is seen and it's shared, where both of your nervous systems can finally feel safe, that right there is a powerful form of hope. So here's a thought for you to take away. Just notice one small reach for connection from you or from your partner that maybe you would have missed before. And this time, just try to meet it with presence, without turning away.